We were busy. Oh, damn. We've been doing some work. Here you go, sir.
I guess ask them, yeah. They want to know kind of.
Sounds good. All right. What do you guys want to know? Nobody.
Curtis is our lead closer on the e-com side and info side. He closes everyone. He knows the sales process inside out. So I'll let you guys ask him the sales process questions. You want to kind of draw it out, like how the flow works?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lead comes
Yeah,
in, what
sounds
happens?
good.
Like how do you qualify them? How does
Sounds
the
good.
audit process work?
You send them materials to warm them up. Do you restart them?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're right, that's much better.
Oh, that's a good start. Good start.
Supposed to be a doctor.
Same. I always thought it was a compliment.
You were.
And then I found out what it was.
All right, let me just map this out quick, and then we'll get into it. I'll go demo. Beautiful. So majority of our lead flow right now is coming from ads. We do have a lot of referral partners that we've covered already, which I can go into after this. But from an ad, it normally will go from our ad to our website. I guess we should have Mitch. I missed there. From the website, it's automatically going to go into our Slack channel, which is where our setters basically live. Now, they are obviously in CRM as well, but majority of the time they're going to be sitting in Slack, filtering through, and they rotate through all the calls that come through, or all the lead forms that come through. Our setters will then call them directly, set an appointment for themselves, and then they'll then vet them basically whether this appointment or the lead that came through should be going to a referral, they should be downselling them, or they're going to be put on my calendar. And that's kind of the flow of things for like 90% of the lead flow that comes through. And a part of this process, though, that's been working really well for us for a lot more people showing up is that our setters, they're total savages, first off. But they will call people to book appointment. They'll call them to make sure they're showing up to their appointment, and then they're going to book them on my calendar. They're calling and texting them manually to get them onto my calendar to make sure that they're showing up. So we have a super high show rate because there's so many manual touch points going on. There is automations in the back end as well for the demo process, show them to my appointments, but majority of it is manual. And then I do the same thing as well, texting people to make sure that they're showing up. So this is the majority of the lead flow. The only time this changes, if they're coming through a referral partner of ours, majority of the time they're more qualified, or if the form or the email I'm getting from our partner, it seems like they're more qualified, they're going to go right into my calendar, and we kind of skip the setter process and go right into my calendar. So that's like the majority of our lead flow that comes through. Or Eddie gets hit up a ton, so they'll just come forward an email to me, and then I'll take them from Eddie's email as well, just because there's people coming in from all over the place. But this is kind of like the traditional kind of lead process.
Are you doing the demo with them, or is setter?
I'm doing the demo. So I guess I should have clarified that. So the setter is qualifying them to make sure that, one, we can actually help them, two, they have money. And then we've also worked really hard with our setters to make sure that they can kind of vet what services they're most likely going to need. So then they're leaving really detailed notes for me, and on my call, I go into it knowing that they have the money. They're going to be maybe a fit for London, or they're going to be a fit for Info, or our Atlanta team, or the Heman team. And that way I have a lot more context for the call. And then I go through our demo process, which is focused on whatever that person needs, specifically with their services.
Are you doing close on call, or is it setter, then your call, you're closing, or is it usually follow up with an
For it's majority of the time, I'm only auditing for a second call if the person is not fully bought in, or they're a larger client that we want to kind of roll out the red carpet for. And I want to say probably
Or you aren't sure if they're a good fit.
yeah.
A lot of these guys lie to us.
Mm-hmm.
only close on initial set, and then on that set is access to account and access to what's going on, and the follow-up call is audit to go hey, we want to fucking rock with this.
Yeah.
Is that a similar process?
Yeah, exactly.
The higher
But-
ticket it is. So the question, the auditing, is that within the sales team, or is that within the team that's fulfilling?
Fulfilling.
Fulfillment.
Because the
Yeah.
team, and I posted this the other day, a lot of the bullshit that we're getting right now is I want to fucking be the team that's running my shit. Yeah. That's the biggest complaint right now, and it's increasing our close rate, but it's still taking us a lot of time. They want to know the strategist, they want to know the media buyer, they want to know whatever.
Really?
Because they keep saying I'll be thrown out with a junior team and a junior account, like this bullshit all the time. Yeah.
Okay.
At
So
Trivium, we don't hire junior people who don't know what they're doing. Our juniors
Yeah.
are your seniors, bro. So at the end of the day, the junior is managed by a senior strategist, and we're not the type of agency who comes in and we just throw 15 clients on a single person.
Yeah.
The line works, but then the line also doesn't work.
Yeah, but I think,
Because when they jump on it,
yeah, I think a bigger part of this too is what they're seeing before they even get to the call in the first place. I never get that objection. And it's because they've seen kick-ass ad, kick-ass website, our setters are amazing, they go to my calendar, by the time they talk to my calendar, it's like, and if they do bring it up, they're like, we have 160-something employees that work here, and they're all vetted very clearly, and that's the end of it, and we don't talk about it after that.
And dude, even
Yeah.
when they come through me, I have that objection, right? Oh, Eddie, like, we want to work with you, I don't want to work with some fucking,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure, but here's the thing, the more intelligent someone is, honestly, like, the more competent as a business owner they are, the more understanding they are of the scenario, and the more they assume out the gate that they're not working with me, right? Like, the richer the person is, they get in and they start with like, look, I know it's not gonna be you, I know it's gonna be someone on your team, but like, can you like tell me about this person? Or can you like make sure I'm put with someone who's like really competent because I really want this to succeed. You know what I mean? And so like, it's out the gate like that, and if someone's like, how involved are you gonna be? I'm like, period, point blank, like, listen dude, you'll never see me
Yeah.
on the call. I'll be in the channel, I'll see things that are happening, but it's in your best interest that I never show up to a call. Because if I show up to a call, that means that is an hour that I'm not meeting with the team that's actually running your stuff. And so if every client wants me to show up to a call, I'll just do a bunch of client calls and I'll never actually be able to help with the team. You would rather me meet with the team that's running your stuff internally and focus specifically on what they're doing, the strategy, the tasks that they need to do, what are the KPIs that they're hitting, instead of me jumping on a call with you. And so you will never see me on the call. But if there's anything that you need that cannot be handled by the team, and you feel like it's something that Eddie needs to hear personally, or whatever it is, you can always DM me. I'm available. But no one DMs me.
I'm curious, are your setters in the DMs?
Are my setup? No one logs into my Instagram except me. I
We've-
messed up.
We've tried.
It's just like my Instagram's like the only thing private to me. Seriously. Yeah, but like my Twitter managed, my LinkedIn managed, you know, Facebook managed, like the only thing I have to me is my Instagram. So it's like my personal one. But like I'm surprisingly I'm probably one of the best communicators on text you've ever seen. I answer thousands of messages per day between WhatsApp, iMessage, Slack, and Instagram. People are like, I don't even know how the fuck to respond. And like, if people saw my phone number,
It's crazy.
I'm just
Right
like,
away.
And that's why I don't take calls. Like when people randomly call me, most of the time I'll decline it because like I have like 15 messages to answer or one call with this person. You know what I mean? And so I do a good job already, and I know it's a time suck, but I think I've done a good job building my brand on Instagram because it's me who's in the DMs, and it's not like nothing pisses me off more than like me DMing one of my friends, and it's like, hello, thanks for messaging today. We're so excited. I can't wait to change your life. You know what I mean?
One of you in this room did that to me, by the way. Your setter. I followed you. Thanks for the follow, by the way.
Again, I'm going for premium, right? So like, that's not premium. Like every time I've had that experience, I get rubbed the wrong way. Even though it's my friend, I'm like, it's fucking annoying. I'm never gonna message him on Instagram.
Yeah.
Coming into your social, you're manually handing them off via a website.
Yeah, some like
Yeah.
have to talk to Eddie, and that's okay. Like I'll close a sales call, like totally cool. But usually I call them beach balls, and I'll send them like a beach ball emoji or
Yeah.
a GIF.
Like a screenshot of the conversation, the context, and then like their number, contact information, and then I just call them immediately and book an
I'll be
appointment.
like, hey, listen, I'm not gonna be able to get on a call for like 7-8 days, like, but, and then I'll like edify Curtis really well, and I'll be like, but I know you're a good fit, like, I don't need to put you with the other team, like, I kind of like treat it like, oh, you're not gonna go with the setters, you're gonna go with the closer, you know what I mean? But I don't call it a closer, obviously, he's like our head of partnerships, he makes all decisions on who the team takes on, and so is it cool if I have him text you? Like, that's kind of how I do it, give me your number and I'll have him shoot your text, and then I'll basically just send it to Curtis, send a little beach ball gift,
Every time.
let him slam dunk it.
Cool. Yeah. Do you have a question in the back first?
Total to a mix it. So for us, we often do like audits or opportunity close, right?
Mhm.
We're finding is that with our email team, we can go straight for a close without doing an audit. Much easier sell. I'd love to hear about your actual sales process in the call because ideally,
Yeah. So I can walk through my like specific sales framework that I use for basically every call in a second. I will say about audits though, we only offer an audit, like we said, if we're trying to figure out if they're a good fit or if they're qualified. If you have somebody that's like, for example, like an ad account and they're only spending like 10K a month, I'll just straight up say, listen, like you guys are only spending 10K a month. We're not going to bother with an audit because majority of the account spending at this point, like we know what's going to be going wrong within their account, and we kind of skip that whole process. Because especially like right now, we've got so much lead flow coming in from Q4 into Q1 that like our team doing audits are getting like bottlenecked. And so I have to be careful. Yeah. So I have to be very careful about who I choose to audit.
The problem is you have like 1, 2 services, right? We have like, so I have to build an email audit team, Amazon audit team, but they're all in Amazon. That helps. Like for me, it's like email, Facebook ads, Google. It's like they each kind of have to have their own skill set. Yeah, I think it's like all Amazon.
Yeah. Do you audit everybody that comes through?
Not everyone, but most of the time, yes.
Okay. Okay.
You ever draw the pyramid that we have? You know, talking about the hierarchy of like needs.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Oh, you have all of our services that we kind of focus on?
Yeah. So like from the top to bottom. So like.
Mine's a little bit different than Fredo's, but I'll throw it down. Yeah.
Put it on, just to give an idea. So this is kind of how we sell it. So you know, like this is kind of a way out of audits too sometimes because how we have it is we have tiers of service and it's really based on churn. So like we take the services that churn the least and we basically frame it on a call that these are the ones that are the most important to the business. And if these aren't in place, then we're not going to talk about the other ones. So like for example, Facebook's high churn, right? But like I'm not going to sit here and run your Facebook ads if your emails are shit because that's going to give us a 30% lift. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and run your Facebook ads if your website isn't built to convert. And so we basically built a pyramid. I don't know if that's how you're going to draw it.
Yeah, this is
We have a
messy, but
pyramid of needs, and it's based from the bottom up.
Yeah.
And like if you don't have the bottom, which is like an Amazon store that's operating, CRO on your website that's converting at this
Yeah.
AOV or conversion rate multiple, or emails running, then this is the first tier. We're not going to take you to tier 2, which is
Yeah.
content, Facebook ads, Google ads, until this tier is done. And so it's not even a question. I don't care if you think you need Facebook ads. We think, based on what we see on your store, that these things are needed first, and we're not even going to let you pay us or
Yeah.
sign up for Facebook ads unless these are taken care of first.
Yeah.
So it lets us get in with lower churn services, which in reality will help us with the higher churn services, right? It's actually what they need.
Yeah.
It's not like bullshitting these people. But now we get in on services that are lower risk to the client, right? Like I can only go so wrong on email. I can only go so wrong on Amazon.
Yeah.
On Facebook ads, I could click a wrong button and blink them out $100,000 tomorrow. You get what I'm saying? So if I can get in on those that are lower downside but still good upside, and I can provide more profit for the business, I not only have stabilized the business a little bit better to afford more margin of play on the Facebook ads, I'm also going to get a better return. But also now my worst case is I lose them on Facebook, but I keep them on email and Amazon. Just an example.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting in the door on lower churn services before the higher churn services, so that if they churn on those, I still have a client pay.
And you build
Yeah,
trust, higher LTV,
Yeah, don't look at it.
higher AOV.
Yeah. Another.
No.
No.
No. But we've considered turning it into pay with the
Yeah.
volume that we've been getting.
Yeah, we've done it in the past with info because it's a lot more intensive a lot of the time, and we've sold them for like $6 to $8 grand for an audit, and then you get two calls to go over that audit. But it became a fulfillment issue as well, which those types of things are great offer if you can fulfill on it. Yeah, it kind of depends on the offer, but
It depends on what we're auditing, right? Like
Yeah.
if we're doing a Facebook ads audit, it's one thing. If we're doing the whole store, it's another thing.
Yeah.
But whatever we do audit, we contribute that credit towards the retainer. So like if someone comes in and we approve, then if they made 10 grand, we'll credit towards the retainer, which is like huge incentive for them to work with us. That's what I'm saying. This is all,
Yeah.
We haven't actually launched what we launched. The only paid audit we launched was the info one. They were selling it for 6 to 8 grand. And we're having our strategists basically do an audit and then them decide if they wanted to even take that offer. So it was a way for someone to pay us. We tell them all the things they should fix in their business to do better. But at the same time, then the person gets to make a decision, do I want this account or not? And so that was a great win, but then it's like they're sacrificing their 100K a month client for this 6 grand audit. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So that they can spend their time there. So we're like,
while we're covering audits quickly, who here like actually does audits in their sales process? Do you guys send them the audit when it's done, or do you make them get on a second call? Okay. Okay.
How did this work?
Yeah. You need, you have to hold that hostage until they're on the call, to the point where like they'll connect with their team and they'll be like, I can't even look at it until I get on the call with you to make sure that they show up. Way higher closure percentage. The amount of times we've tested it too. I've sent an audit to somebody and they take it and either they run with it with their internal team, or like they don't show up to that demo and then I don't have them anymore. So every single audit that we do is on a second call. And if it's like a big audit where we're doing like all of their services, it sometimes will carry over and I'll break them up into 2 calls because it's so much information to cover. But I always make sure they're on the call to look at that audit. I just say, yeah, we're going to cover it on the second call. We don't send these out until we have our call.
I just put it in. I'm like, dude, listen. Like our team spent 20 hours doing this audit. I'm not just gonna send it over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information I need.
What about the objection came, I'm not the decision maker, I've got to run this up the flagpole for like my CEO?
That's okay. If I'm just sending you an audit and you're gonna interpret text that's written internally on a piece of paper, versus me explaining to you the actual outcome of these things and where the losses are and the opportunity cost of them, then you're not gonna understand how to go talk to your CEO. So if you can't give me 45 minutes for the 20 hours of work that I put in, it's probably not a good relationship.
Yeah.
Typically, you get that after the audit, right? So we'll do the audit, and then we'll say, okay, cool, can you send this over to me, because I want to talk to my CEO about this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
As soon as the call ends,
That's different.
I'm already with the audit.
we send it right over. Yeah.
But no pricing. Don't include pricing on the deck.
Okay, so we use something a little bit different with our process. So with my demos, I'll do a like discovery call that's all about the client and figure out kind of like what they actually need within their business, what's any issues they're having within their business. I'll then set up an audit, tell them a rough price point on that first call. And then we go into the audit process and then I give them the official number and close them on the call. The reason why we do it that way is because now now they know how much we cost. If they have any issues with it and they're not going to be able to afford it or it doesn't make sense, we don't bother with the audit or the second call. But if they do, now they're primed. They know exactly what it costs. They think about the budget. They budget with their CFO. They get on that second call with us, and they have everything they need to make a decision on that call. So that's how we do it.
But you're not giving them a deck that has a price on the back of the deck before you get that call.
I am showing them. Yeah, I'm not sending them. So I'm showing them rough pricing for per service, so they know like, okay, $6K for this service or whatever it might be.
Here's the thing, man. We systemize our pricing, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No matter what. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, as long as it's like within the rules that we're playing in, like an e-com store that does this, we already have different pricing decks. You know what I mean? So if they're a certain category, Register shows them a deck. If they're a different category, he'll show them a different deck. And so the decks are already priced according to what it is that they're doing.
But not on info with performance bonuses.
Yeah, info's different.
Say the audit's done, and they're like, cool, can I get that deck? And we send them the deck, and the price is still attached to that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's the price I quoted.
The pricing on all of our take-home decks.
Yeah.
And the only way they can get it is they come back and then we put everything behind the doc send, so that we see everybody who's logging in, checking the deck. Because what we were experiencing in November, December was shocking.
I see what you're saying. Like, they go back to the proposal.
They're taking the deck.
Right, they're seeing the number.
Because we were getting put up against Tenuity and Common Thread every fucking time. So I'm seeing different people logging in the deck, so I put it behind the doc set so they can't, anybody who wants this deck has to log in to see it. And then the second is like, I don't want them shopping my price. And we did put on this call right now, it's at this point, if you're gonna wait a couple weeks or a month, I don't think I can offer that price anymore. Some people really didn't like this, but we wanted to get the close fast.
Yeah. Interesting. We'll try that out. I'll tell you what I do instead of prices changing. I just like, I have the team basically create synthetic FOMO around something. So like, example, like, hey, you came in on this content offer. Like, honestly, we're pretty booked out for most of next month already. If I'm not gonna promise you anything, like, but I have like 5 more calls in the next 2 days, and they're on the same offer. If any of them close, like, I can't actually take you on until like end of next month. And this is because we're bottlenecked on the content side. You want the free content offer, like, I can't get it to you. That's that. And so it kind of forces them. On the info side, we're always backlogged at this point, so like,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
he's
different.
always like, fuck man, I gotta sell someone for June.
Yeah.
Like, and he'll take payments like for 90 days in advance sometimes. And that's like FOMO in itself. So if you wait another week, you might lose next one.
You guys take
Full first payment.
Because everyone, like, but when you have the lead flow, like, people are paying it, you know?
Have you ever closed a whale without an audit that didn't know, like, for example, Eddie or Ashley?
No, because most times when they come in they're a whale, we do it just automatically. And it's for me, a big part of it is just like showing them our team's process from start to finish. And it really builds a lot of certainty and trust through that process, and they can see how our team flows. Even if they're like, there has been people who come through who are really warmed up because of Eddie, and that's a bit of a different story. They're just like, just tell me how much it is I'm going to pay right now. But majority of the time, we just do the audit regardless, because we've really focused on like rolling out the red carpet from start to finish. So our setters have a specific framework they follow to like roll out the red carpet to me, and then I roll it to the fulfillment team, and then so on and so forth. And everything's very intentional. So I run an audit regardless of the client for the most part.
Like, I've had people who go through our sales process and they're like, I just want to tell you that the reason I bought from you was because I shopped 4 companies, and by far you were the most personalized, you were the most red carpet, you were the most boom, boom, boom. I felt like I'm already working with a world-class team, and it wasn't a bunch of fucking automation, it wasn't a bunch of like transactional discussions. I really felt like you guys understood my business. I felt like I already had a team. And so even just seeing your sales team, I'm excited to work with a fulfillment team. And so like, that creates a different experience at those high levels too. It's like, when you're competing with multiple people on proposals, it's a game of inches. It's not about price, it's about like, the experience that they're receiving, and it starts with the sales team. And if the sales team gives that like, high quality, not super pressured experience for these top guys, I think it creates a better environment for them to feel comfortable to work with you guys. The lower ticket, the higher pressure you want to put, obviously, right? Like,
Yeah.
if it's $1,800 a month, I'm not letting you get off this fucking phone until you pay me.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's 20 grand a month plus 30% of your total net profits for the company, like, we can talk about it for the next week. It's totally cool. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna pressure you to do it. And when you're offering deals like that, you don't want them to feel like you're pressuring them.
Yeah.
Because pressure comes out of a point of like, pressure like that comes usually from a place of need. You know what I mean? Where I don't need any of that. So, and I want them to feel that I don't need any of that. And so even when I close my proposal, sometimes like, I'll just have a bunch of warm leads, and then someone will tell me, hey, we have room for 5 more clients. Then I'll go for pressure. I'll be like, hey, just letting you know, like, if we want to hit this timeline that you wanted to do, we don't start like tomorrow, there's no chance it's happening. And then they'll just sign the proposal, hey. You know what I mean? But it's because I didn't create pressure in that scenario, I created attraction almost. It's like, I want to work with this guy. Like, why doesn't he want me? You know what I mean? It's kind of weird, but like, that's how it works for us on the high ticket. On the low ticket, it's like, dude, I mean, I used to sit there for 3 hours to close a $1,500 sale because I'm like, you're not getting off the fucking call. My credit card's in the car and it's snowing. I'm like, get your ass outside. I know your wife has it memorized. I'll wait. Yeah, like, no problem, dude.
I'll turn my camera.
Well, take me with you. We'll make sure you don't slip.
Cool. Any other questions?
I got one. So you said in the discovery call when you are talking about price, either disqualify them so you don't have to run an audit. Is that correct?
So by the time I get to the end of my call, or even if they show up on my calendar, we know they're qualified. So I don't talk to anybody who can't afford to work with us or isn't but sometimes they get through, but like aren't a good fit to work with our team. But I drop the price point to make sure that's something that's already in their head so that their team can think about it for the actual audit process. Now, it depends on services. Like for example, like if we're talking only content, a lot of that is a little bit more customized, and so the team looks at it first, and then we'll give them a different custom price. But like media buying and info and all that is already established, so we already know what that looks like. So we'll give them a rough range on that first call, and then go from there. Yeah, and like I had this last week where somebody was like, it's going to be whatever, maybe 10 grand, and it's like, they weren't expecting it to be that much, and they needed the time to think about it. So instead of like I need to think about it and I'll let you know in a couple days, it was like, cool, you can think about it for the next 3 days while we do an audit, and then we're going to get onto the audit call, and then you can talk to me about where you were at with the finance part of it, and then we can kind of go from there, if that makes sense. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, so if they don't go the audit, you then go to the downsell or what's the thing?
Yeah, so if for some reason I'm talking to them and it doesn't make sense, maybe we missed something in our setting process and realize that their margins are like nothing and they don't have any money to really invest, I will kind of like pivot into talking about Human X program or the downsell or coaching with Eddie. I have a lot of different stuff that I can sell. So I'll go into whatever I can. Time with our strategist on our couple-hour calls, Eddie, whatever it might be, and I'll kind of position it that way. Yeah.
How much of the setter's time is on new leads versus old? And then what's the total number of leads you guys try to touch a month?
So we don't. I think we have like amount of touch points a month that we even really track. We all focus on like set to close, and that's kind of what we're mainly focusing on. But I will say how the schedule of our setters kind of focus on is right first thing in the morning, they're hitting up. First, they're making sure everybody who's going to be on their appointments are going to show up. So they're texting, calling everybody who they're going to be talking to today. Then they go right into the new leads that came in from last night or over the weekend. And then they go up to their follow-up to get people back on the phone, which is normally like if there was a no-show for themselves, they're going to call in that person. No-show for me for some reason, then they go call that person back. And then they'll get into like really old follow-up if they have time on their hands. But depends on the time of year for us and kind of, yeah, really the season and what kind of ads we're running.
How many setters?
We got 2 right now for myself, yeah. 2 setters. I don't know if we have a setter in auto anymore, but.
We do have something interesting where different seasons you can have a lot of deal flow coming in. The question I would ask you is, in the time you guys a lot of leads are coming in, right? So your sellers don't have to work as hard to close those deals. You often find that, once the deal's been like a week old, we have so much coming in, we don't have to worry about follow-up with those people. So like, how do you go back and get those people that maybe they were a good fit, but because you guys have so many leads, so many deals going on, then you have to be that aggressive with getting those people out there?
Yeah, that's a great question. For myself and my own follow-up, I'm following up anybody who doesn't close on my end. That's kind of where I'm focused my energy. Our setters are really good about like hitting people up from last December when they have time. We've got them quite efficient, and because there's 2 of them, like we probably could fit in a single setter that'd be busy like crazy, but because we have 2 of them right now, we don't really run into that issue of time where they're able to then go back and hit up people in the past. So especially for me, like if I'm wanting, like I'm always trying to push for deals that were a few months ago. They're in an agreement, for example, for 3 months. I'm waiting for them to get out of that agreement to then close them on another call. So we do prioritize that follow-up, especially in a season right now where we have so much lead flow coming in. Like, then say it goes a little bit slower over the next 3 months, we just continue to focus on those people to come back.
Like, is it like systematized? Is it kind of like, when you have time, just go look at the list and just pick someone?
Yeah.
When you have time, go to the list and start from like the hottest down.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like if you really want to make the most out of it, dude, give them bonuses for doing that. Like, I'll give you an example. Setter will get 2% on a sale, let's say. Hey, if you go reactivate a lead that's like 60 days old, I'll give you 10% on that sale. Just an example, right? Now they're not going to sleep, but whenever I do like bonuses on volume generated from a different source, they always go crazy. Like they're like, I can make 5x the money by going after these people, and so it treats it different. Even like I said, for agency founders, right? I do that, it does the same. For my local business side, they might be moving slow, and then I'll say, hey, for example, they get $500 per sale, is what they get on the local side. I'll say, hey, listen, if you get 3 sales this week, I'll give you an extra $1,000 for every 3 sales. All of a sudden, they have 6 sales.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like when you give really good, crazy hours, okay? When you give incentives like that, it really pulls them in a lot. Something important, give like shorter timetable incentives when you do something like that. Don't make them like a monthly, because what happens if you do like, if this month you close that much, then by day 15 they're not on pace. They're like, next month. You know what I mean? But if it's like this week, Monday to Friday, you gotta get it by, dude. I'll see them at like 11:15 Friday closing a deal to make sure they hit that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right at the end of the month, it's like, oh, it's too late, whatever.
Something else I'll quickly say about the setters as well, though, is culture. Like especially our settering team, like they love their job and they work so hard. I'm often having to tell a couple of my setters to like stop working because they're still like hitting me up at like 8 p.m. because they're still like trying to get deals on the board. And that is just purely like the culture that they've built for bad. Like that's hard to really replicate as far as like the motivation side of it. I never really have to get out of that, like after them about hitting certain metrics because they're always pushing. And it's because of everything we've already mentioned. Like they get to sell things, like there's bonuses set up in place, but they also just like love what they're doing. And so it's not really a problem to have to like get them to go back and do longer term follow-up or whatever it might be.
So 2 quick questions. Are you saying that your entire sales team is 3 people?
Yeah. Well, now,
On the
Internal.
high-ticket side.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we have like on the auto side, we have a salesperson. Eddie and Ashton are always closing deals. Yeah. So
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And my second question was,
But let me clarify. Curtis and his two setters can close 150 Gs a month on this hard. They first 10 days of the month, what did you guys do? 78K? Something like that?
it was like 73K.
73K cash collected on recurring revenue just from them three. So like 10 days.
yeah, very impressive. So one thing I noticed with the auto industry is car dealerships have like a very big ego, and I'm sure you guys deal with that since you're working with like bigger stores as well. One thing we noticed when we tried to introduce a setter is that they hated like getting qualified by a setter and then being passed on to a closer. Like they just want to talk to the big dog straight away. So how do you guys handle that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it does happen for sure that comes through, and it even happens to me sometimes where people are like, I just want to talk to Eddie. And it really is part of going back to the experience of like rolling out the red carpet for them. If it's somebody that's qualified and like they're a legitimate business, the set call looks very different than somebody we're like kind of unsure about. Like if we've got an info offer that comes through that's already doing like 300 or 400K a month, whatever it might be, our setter is more like making sure they end up on my calendar and make sure that they're set up for me to talk to them versus like an actual triage call. So it's more of like a, yeah, does that make sense? Just like a touch point versus like an actual
send
set.
them to the closer.
Yeah.
Have the setter triage the call after it's booked with the closer. So like
Yeah.
instead of booking a call with the setter, they book the final call with the closer so that that's
Yeah.
set. But the setter reaches out to them between the time that they book and that call with the closer
Yeah.
to confirm those two data points. So then the setter can make a decision to remove the call or keep it.
Yeah.
It feels more like a concierge call rather than a setter
Are you
call.
doing like the discovery call and demo in one in terms of like figuring out their current problems and things like that? Are you doing that all in one call, or you're having the setters figure out their issues?
So we do 2 calls. So the
But wait, how much is your price point?
yeah, it's a good question.
2,500 to 3,000.
I don't think you need like a setter call to close the call. I think the closer call can do both. The setter's job should be to filter the closer's calendar and put
Yeah.
as much as they can on or off.
Yeah.
You're low ticket enough where like you don't need to have 2 calls, bro. And if these guys are such hot shots, 2,500 months should be fine, right?
Yeah.
So like if I was you and their ego's taking a hit, I would book them with the closer from day one, but I would have the setter reach out to them before that call, and that conversation determines if they get pulled off or stayed on the calendar. And I understand because like when someone puts me with a setter, and then I have another call with the closer, I'm like, you just wasted 2 fucking calls for nothing for me. Like I'm qualified for my application. Like isn't that the point of the application? Like it pisses me off so much.
Yeah.
So I get it. But if I booked a call with a closer, and then a setter called me and was like, hey, you know, I saw you got a call with Curtis tomorrow. Just got a couple questions just so I can make sure Curtis is prepared for the call. Is that cool?
Yeah.
It should take like 2 minutes. It might save us 20 tomorrow. Cool, yeah? Okay, great. Boom, 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 boom. And then from there, it's like, listen, based on this, it's probably not the right fit. You know what I mean? Just want to save you time. No point in spending an hour with Curtis.
Yeah. I'd have to also like look at your setting call process too, because if their setters are asking really good questions, they'll kind of settle in and be okay with that call. Like we've worked really hard with the 2 setters that I have that they really understand e-com, and we're getting there with info. So they're not like they're mostly doing.
VA setters.
No,
Like,
it's
they could close you right there.
they could, yeah, they very well could. And so the questions that they're asking are almost like a closing discovery call. So they're getting like all their key metrics, they're asking about inventory, like they're asking detailed questions that are like, okay, these guys know what they're talking about. And then for me, I just get to cover like the high level stuff, find levers that I get to pull on the call. Why are they shopping around with agencies? Like what's going on with their business? Go a little bit deeper and then talk about the exact strategy we're gonna do in the last like 20 minutes of the call, and then go for the audit or the close or whatever it might be.
I would ask on the setter call just advice, like I would pinpoint keyword questions that build respect.
Yeah.
So like example, I don't know the auto industry, right? But like example, like what are your internal financing options right now for customers? Like are
Yeah.
you guys I assume you're internally financing cars, like
Yeah.
what does that look like? Right now? What like how are
Yeah.
approvals? Like what are the rates? Like
Yeah.
even asking things like that, like I'm just giving you an example, right? You would know more than me what I'm talking about here, but like for us, like
Yeah.
what are turnaround times on inventory? Hey, if we sell out, like how quickly can you get them? Like what's your average order value? What's your conversion rate? What's your gross profit on a sale? Like asking things, what's your customer LTV? And they're always like, fuck, I don't know.
Yeah.
I never
Yeah.
thought of that. And you're like,
Yeah.
okay, we need to figure that out, right? That makes the setter automatically more qualified than them in their head. They're like, fuck,
Yeah.
this person's asking questions my own team doesn't cover.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, frame is super important for them too, and they'll make comments like, "Oh, how much are you spending right now?" Like, "Oh, we're spending 10K," and they'll be like, "Was that a day?" And like, oh no, it's monthly. Oh, okay. And it's like, so we throw that kind of stuff in them, so like, oh shit, like they know what they're talking about.
Setters are the ones setting the texts with the blue bubbles.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So how does one get onto a setter's calendar?
So there's a couple different ways we've played around with. It'll go, like right now we're doing a lot of our paid ads are going to our website. So it's gonna come into our Slack and they're calling them directly or texting them, or all of them.
But they're submitting an application that's self-booking?
No.
No one's allowed to self-book in our role.
Yeah.
You cannot book a call with anyone on our
Yeah,
team.
so the setter will like text, call, and email them to book themselves an appointment, ideally for that day or the next day. Then they actually do like a triage call, and then they book onto a demo.
I know it sounds counterintuitive, but like when we have, 90% of lead flow unqualified, even with an application process, it's just like, it's just way smoother for us to create that, and it's a better experience. They get a blue text right out the gate. They immediately know it's not an automation. They're like,
Yeah.
this is actually someone with an iPhone on the other end.
Much quicker.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you got a blue message, you'd be like,
Yeah, we just went the other direction. We added a self-book to the website.
Yeah.
we've been self-booked, and we just took it off like a few months ago. Best decision ever.
Yeah.
League quality, what?
Is that the, it was just your no-show?
Yeah, you just get the calendar filled and then no one quality actually books.
This time with like
Damn.
40 people who don't need to be there. Same with the setters, right? We have so much deal flow that like to really book calls with everyone, I would need like 6 setters right now.
Yeah.
If they're all gonna have calls booked, but like,
Yeah.
or I can just have them send a text and like
Yeah.
set up whatever they want and selectively choose based on the application.
Yeah.
Someone comes in and they're like, I just started a store and I'm doing 5K a month, and then 5 more people come in spending 30 grand a month. They're gonna go talk to the 30 grand a month people, and then when they have time, they're gonna go back to the other person and try to sell them a downsell.
Yeah. Yeah. But there.
Self-booking, especially is like, it's just, I'm spending this and I'm getting this, and you can't really get really detailed questions.
Yeah, and even self-booking, for me psychologically, it means they're in control.
Yeah.
Like if I get to go in to book a call with you, that means I'm in control of the conversation. I pick my time, I do whatever. If you can only submit an application, you cannot talk to anyone in any way, you can't even get on a calendar unless we decide that you're allowed to.
Yeah.
It's a different conversation.
Are you guys tracking that data? Like, I would assume you kind of sacrifice some of the raw data at that point, right? Like, are they sitting there going, okay, I got the text message.
Oh, no, they log them all in HubSpot.
Yeah. Everything's logged in
It's
HubSpot.
logged.
Yeah.
Every single text is logged.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it'll just be a fun text.
So we got 100 leads, setters managed to get 30.
Setters will get to all 100.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's the difference. They'll get to all
How
100.
fast they text you, the speed of the lead.
Right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're just watching Slack.
If you're qualified, right away. If
Yeah.
you're not qualified, not right away.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a Slack, and it's like, ping, 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 and
Yeah.
they're marking it with an X or a green check.
Yeah.
Each setter has like an emoji that marks that, each closer and setter has an emoji in our company, and they just mark it with them. So like, unicorn is Wendy, for example, Corey's a gorilla. What are you, a maple leaf,
Yeah.
right? So like,
Yeah. Let's cover that quickly. Yeah.
but like, they'll mark them, so I'll be able to even see like,
Yeah.
X, qualify. Like they'll just know from the application, like I've reached out, haven't reached out yet, X.
No one ever crosses wires like 2 people saying the same.
No, they
have
rotate.
an emoji before they contact them.
Yeah.
So
But
like I'll go
yeah.
put like unicorn and then I'll text them.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, it's never an issue.
But they always rotate. So if one setter's on a call, they'll just like take one, skip the next, take one, skip the next. And so then when the setter's back, they can just go take the ones that they haven't hit yet. So they just go always rotate back and forth.
Are your setters English speakers?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they've got sweet South African accent.
No Canadians?
I mean, that's based in America.
Yeah.
Process.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm like actively thinking about that every time I've said it today. I always get called on that. Process.
What is your, do you only text just to verify, or do you also call?
We find, like, especially for e-com and info, like everybody's answering text, so we've prioritized text, but we will do everything. Like we'll text and call them, and then we'll also send them an email, but we're like most often living on text and email for e-com specifically, because a lot of people aren't like actually answering
The
calls.
busier you are,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And answering
the
a call.
less you answer calls, the more you appreciate that.
Yeah.
100%.
It's not even just about answering, it's about like appreciating it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When someone's busy and you text them instead of calling them, they go, these guys already understand how to communicate better.
It varies, but like I think today there's already been like 20 leads that have come in that Alex is up hitting up right now.
You don't use anything like tools or something where you send text to the CRM?
No.
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 That's the whole point of the iPhone is
Yeah.
to remove automation.
Yeah, completely.
That syncs back into the CRM.
HubSpot.
Yeah, so we still track through our like CRM through HubSpot for everything. So we'll like send a manual text and then manually say that we texted somebody through HubSpot. So we're always tracking it. Yeah, it takes more time, but it works.
You have to understand, we're not trying to sign up 100 clients.
Yeah.
We each have a different process, right? So, like we just need like 15 great clients, and our business is like, boom. You know what I mean? So like, we don't need to sit here and create an experience to close 100 clients. You know, I think Cole left the room, but like Cole Gordon's business, he has to pump new sales he has to have hundreds of new sales a month, or they decrease as a business, right? For us, we don't need that. We just need 15 great clients, and that's where we want to be. So like, I'm not sitting here and trying to focus, like back to the shrimp thing, like I'm not sitting here trying to focus on like, how do I manage 10,000 leads? I'm just focused on like, how do I manage the 100 out of these 10,000 that are the people who I really want to talk to, and cater to them the best experience possible, so I could just close the 15 that I want.
And do you guys only contact people who have shown intent by filling out an application, or also other types of leads who, the low ticket guys
Yeah.
already do lead sources or something?
Everybody gets touched. Every single person will get contacted, but the more qualified ones will just get contacted first. And so, like, it's very important for our team that like everybody gets a conversation regardless, because whether they come back 6 months from now or whatever it is, it leaves a really good taste in their mouth, or we try to send people away to a referral partner so that we can get some sort of a kickback as well. So everybody gets talked to, everybody gets a solution. A huge thing that I believe in with referral partners is if I have a call with somebody and I can't help them, but I can find somebody that can help them, I get brownie points, you get a client, maybe I get a kickback, but now I've like served 2 different people with one person that I couldn't help. And so it's huge to have referral partners for just the value sake of it, even if you can like make money from it or not. So everybody gets touched.
Yeah, I'm referring to the fact that the funnel you talked about, the number one, right, direct to application. So your sellers, when they're sending 20 texts per day, right? Do they talk to more people from other funnels?
Oh yeah, yeah. So like we have so many different sources of lead flow coming through. There's like 3 different channels from whether it's a different funnel coming through our website, whether it's internal referrals, it could be cold outreach that they're doing, it could be DM ads that are running. So they have a bunch of different things they're tapping into, but they will just prioritize like the leads that look the most qualified first, and then they kind of work their way down the line. But yeah.
To be clear, like we could do an application where if they answer a certain question, they get pushed to a book call or to an automation. But like we've noticed in our industry, people lie all the time.
Yeah,
All the time.
constantly.
And sometimes like someone will say, oh, we only do, we stopped asking like revenue because like they would
Yeah.
all lie about it. They put less revenue if they're making a lot because they don't want us to charge them more.
Mhm.
And if they're broke, they'll put more revenue so that we actually have a conversation. And so
Yeah.
like,
Best month from 2 years ago.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So now we just leave an open-ended question for them to tell us like about their situation, whatever it is, and then we also have ad spend, and that's a pretty good indicator for us. But a lot of times someone will come in and they'll look broke. They'll say, $1,000 a month of ad spend. Then we'll go and we'll check, and they have an Amazon store that's doing $300 grand a month.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
the Shopify store, this is a great lead. But like, if we went based on the application, we would have DQ'd that person. We'll never talk to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's in our industry, it's a little different than yours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just to clarify, you also contact people, let's say, that bought a low ticket course,
Mhm.
even though they didn't show any interest in your high ticket. You would then say, kind of depending on what they feel, like you kind of contact them as well to try to get them to
Yeah, like in some cases, most times though, for a like our downsells, they're already talking to a setter because we've manually reached out to them. I don't think we have anything that you can just buy through a website at all right now. Like you always have to talk to somebody.
In
Yeah.
Heman, yes.
Can you
When
still?
it was running
Oh,
Heman,
Heman,
yes.
you can? Okay.
When we were running low ticket, the whole purpose was we're going to get about 5% of these customers into Heman X.
Gotcha.
Another 3 to 5% are going to become agency clients. And low ticket was our lead acquisition. So we called all leads, and the purpose of the setter was to figure out where should they go, Heman X sales or Heman Media sales.
How do you track like the iMessages? Like especially if you're going back and contacting people from like last December.
Yeah.
It's like, do you save them a certain way in the phones or how?
I just live in HubSpot, and so if I send a text, it's being updated in HubSpot, and I'll like, it has a date stamp and everything to it, so we can kind of see every text that I've sent. That's like, no, we manually do it.
About this today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Give
Yeah.
me this objection today.
So like you save them in the phone with the name, with like the name of the phone, or
I,
you find it in your phone later.
that's a great
There's
question.
no point, they have the HubSpot app on there.
Yeah, so, yeah, HubSpot will give you like all their information, and you can just type their phone number in, and then you have their conversation from last December. So that's how we're doing it, yeah. I will like put in names for people that I'm following up with continually, of course, for like my own phone or for the work phone kind of thing, but yeah, it's all just through HubSpot.
Definitely not like the most optimized compared to like HubSpot native texting platform, but I would rather, if I got to pick leads now or leads from a year ago, I would rather optimize for leads now.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, if there's a lead from a year ago who like a conversation got lost on a text for some reason because like now we have a new person who has a different phone, like I'll take that out versus like someone coming in and like not responding to us because they got a green text in their hot. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? We almost missed out on a $200 million brand because of a green text. Like, I'm fine. Like literally next day I was like, you're all getting iPhones tomorrow.
Yeah.
When I got iPhone, I was like, this is I didn't know iPhones were so cheap. Like growing up, I was like, you know, oh iPhone. Now for $20 a month, or you get like the fucking hottest iPhone. Just send it to your sales team for $20 a month. So it's like $50 with a plan, and you got your sales team sending blue text all day. It's just the like, biggest cheat code.
Yeah. Ashton shared earlier about cost per phone call. Is there a benchmark that you guys are able to spend against that specifically?
I have that benchmark.
Yeah.
So right now we spend, like I kind of cut it off at about 150 to 180 bucks per call. Like that's my top. This week we're making about like 75 bucks per call.
Very much depends on what you're advertising too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If I run a free content offer, we'll make all your TikTok ads creatives and we'll run your TikTok ads, I'll get $2 book calls. You know what I mean? If I'm like, come work with us as a marketing company, I'll get $300 book calls. So it's really, really offer driven. That's why
Yeah.
I don't necessarily tie myself down too much to cost per book call because it's gonna vary based on the quality. Like,
A local client would be $2, $4 range that you mentioned.
Yeah, the goal would be 2,500 to 3,000.
to close a client.
Correct.
Yeah, acquisition cost.
And again, it's our CPA on closing client, I'd say, is about 2,500 to 3,500 depending on the month. It's gonna range. But you got, I mean, you're in my shoes. Like we're closing the same size retainers, so they're all like over
Totally
10 grand a
doable.
month for those for the most part. So it ends up working out. Like I'm okay personally paying 150% of collected cash in sales and marketing costs. Like if I collect 100 grand, I'm okay paying out 150 grand that month in ads and in sales commissions because I know next month I'm gonna get another 100 grand. So like that's how far I'm willing to go. We don't go there that often. Probably 1 or 2 months a year. We have to spend more than we make, but usually like we'll be pretty good as long as I'm proactively like structuring new ad creatives and things like that. Like that's what gets me going right now. Like I can come up with like 3 ad creatives a month that we can do and make different variations of, and they'll hit every time. Like at least 1 or 2 will hit, and so it's enough to carry good deal flow for my sales team. Cool. You guys don't want that.
No, this is the year though. Do you want to do this or don't want to get to that?
Run it, bro. It'll help.
I'm about to get rocking that hot boy. Like, yo, so Breeze is interested in marketing you. You're gonna see it come through.
All right. Cool. Any other questions?
Do you think you'd be able to increase the average retainer value for more of a local business type client where they're not used to spending, you know, $6,000, $10,000 a month on an agency retainer?
Yeah. Do you ask for it?
For the clients that can afford it, yes.
So if you don't ask for it, you're never going to get it. So I would just try for it. If you can add more value, obviously, to what you're already doing, you can easily increase your pricing. But like how I kind of position a lot of, especially for like an info space, is I'll go through our highest priced item first and see how they respond. And you'd be shocked how many people are like, yeah, it's going to be 30 grand. And they're like, okay, cool. And then I just won't go into the other stuff. And we'll just stay there and I'll close them on that price point. Or they'll be like, holy shit, no, I can't afford that. I'm like, no worries. We got this other solution for you down here, which is your normal price point. And they're going to be like, sweet, I can pay that. And you got a client. But if you don't ask for it, you're just never gonna have it.
Let me forewarn you. I'll save you a year of effort or day. Track what you're churn rate is
Yeah.
on people who are on multiple services versus less services. So, for example, I was like, I just had a random thought one day. So I went to my CFO, I'm like, give me a report on what the LTV is and churn rate is of someone who comes on one service versus someone who signs up on 2 versus someone who signs up on 3 versus someone who signs up on 4. And like, let's talk LTV and churn. Let's talk both. Let's compare side by side. Turns out the LTV of people who sign up for 3 services with us was actually lower than the LTV of people who sign up for 2 services. Because they're paying a way bigger retainer. And we have to also still take a month to figure out what the fuck this person is doing in their company. You know what I mean? And so that's a whole month that is gone where they're paying 50% more of a retainer on 3 services than 2. And so when we told our sales team, hey, either we're selling full service or we're selling 2, like do not go for 3 because that is churn for us. And then we'll allow you guys to then upsell them the 3rd service within 90 days and get the commission that you want. Change the game. Now we have way less churn because like instead of charging someone 15 grand a month, we're charging them 10 grand a month. And that, if you do it over 3 months, it's 45 grand versus the 30 grand difference. That's like a 1.5 month runway that you get, which allows us to fix those things. 'Cause let's be real. Most of these businesses have core problems that don't have anything to do with your service, right? It's like, it's not the Facebook ad account. It's like the fucking sales team that needs to fix this thing on the back end. And so like, you have to now spend time doing that, but you're getting paid to run ads. And so they're judging you based on how the ads are doing. But if you have to focus on sales, that's another thing that you have to fix. So it gives us time to go fix the other things that'll allow us to generate more sales for this company. And then we generate more sales from those 2 services and we ascend them to a 3rd service. And so that has brought up our LTV dramatically across the board. It's like the weirdest fucking point, but like one day I was just like, I wonder what this number is. And we looked at it and it was like freakish how different they were. You know what I mean? And we were like shocked, like, okay, no more selling.
So why do you think the full service still has a lower trend than 3?
Because we have control of everything.
So the hit
So-
rate and success was higher.
Yeah.
Huh?
The hit rate success was higher.
100%, yeah. So like on 3 services, we still don't have control of your sales team, your landing pages. Like there's still so many things. On full service, it's like we have like you can like get on the call and tell us everything, and then go away, and then we'll tell you when we need you. You know what I mean? And then we do everything. So it's like much different. We're dependent on our own time and skill set versus theirs.
One of our deals, like literally, we were gonna do 3 services, but instead we gave them 2 services, included the 3rd service for free at an extended contract. So like now they're paying for less services and in their eyes was good, but we increased their LTV just because we extended it, but now they weren't paying for that 3rd service. So we could make up in the revenue.
But we're still getting performance on all of it.
Exactly.
We did this last year, this was almost practice, we built a content team that we shouldn't have built into an office space that we should never have done. And content was a retention tool that we were losing money on, but if we didn't do the content,
Right.
we never closed on paid or email.
Yep.
We started doing a score, like if they came in at email, we should not sell them content, we should sell them email, or if they came on paid, we should not sell them content, we should sell them email, because that then
Yep.
becomes like a 3x valuable to us versus us going email to paid to content elsewhere.
Yep.
So then our like internal cross-sell and upsell was way smoother, and that if you're our trying to exit or trying to leave, that they want month over month looked at on a year-to-year basis, and an LTV retention as well as LTV expansion. So all those metrics together, like that's the only thing we focus on. So now everything we pitch, we're always email first. And even though we're better paid or whatever that one core service is that allows them gateway to the other ones,
Yep.
that's all we focus on.
And look, simple pro tip on upselling more services, always include the other services in your contract and just like strike
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
So-
Yeah.
I learned that last year.
Yeah.
So like we'll send a Facebook ads proposal, it'll say Facebook ads, 7 grand plus whatever, and then under it, it'll say email marketing, price slashed out, and word slashed out, slashed out, slashed out. Like, oh, you guys do Amazon? They'll come back and like, oh, you guys do Amazon? It's like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so sometimes they'll come back and just like,
I didn't know you did this.
I didn't know you did this.
Yeah.
I saw it on the proposal.
It happens
Even
all the
like
time.
A month or 2 into working together, they'll be like, they'll go to that account management team. They'll be like, hey, I saw that you guys like did Amazon. I remember it's on the contract. Like, is that something you guys can like audit for me and see if you can work together? Like, I need help there.
Yeah.
And so like it's like putting the expensive steak on the menu instead of just like saying we have a special thing. You know what I mean? They'll always see it, and like the people who are attracted to that premium price point will take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Last 2, and then we'll pod, guys? Head to the party.
How do y'all, okay, two services, third one you're striking off, we're throwing that in, sweet deal. How do y'all manage that with that pod, that team? How does that look on their P&L for them? Say they got hit bonus, got hit certain revenue threshold, now they're deployed, but they're not bringing in revenue, so to speak. How do y'all deal with that?
Well, each service would take up bandwidth. So it'd be the same. So if I can close this client on 3 services, I close 2, then I can bring another client in that's on 1.
He's saying if you do a P&L by division, like if you toss in email and you give them free email,
How do you allocate that money?
that department suffers.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, it's a,
Now it's like, boss, like, you're telling me hit revenue target, but deploy me to a free client. How do you?
We'll split it.
Oh, right, so
So
you
like
don't,
the mass retainer is split across. the
Yeah.
entire-
It has to be, otherwise it doesn't make sense.
you don't lower the goal that they're supposed to hit even though they're at.
No.
It's either one of those.
you work more.
It's like, that's a never-ending story.
Even if, I mean, the just.
Dude, we went from 15 clients per pod to 12 to 10, and now they're like, I think we can only handle 7. I'm like, I'm like, you guys only get paid?
Yeah.
We don't have money for 7. Yeah, so like, I just noticed like over time that just, I would rather like figure out how we can do more to hit this, and as opposed to like, how can we just like bring the goal down? Because like, then they're like, oh, well, this is a really busy month, like, I don't think we can handle this thing, and it just keeps going. It's
Yep.
like, how much can we pull, you know, versus like, this is the goal, so instead, let's reframe the conversation to, what more resources and help do you guys need to hit this goal?
Yep.
What do we need to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, do you need an assistant that can do this project management work for you to be able to get us there? Let's test what that looks like on a pod. Oh, capacity just went up 20%.
Yep.
So for example, in our email department, they were like, we think we should go down from 10 to 7. They made this huge proposal. Here's why. We can't handle this workload, whatever. What do? We just went and removed mundane shit that their email manager is having them do. Like
Yeah.
taking the screenshot of the email and putting it in the task on ClickUp. Removed. Okay. 3 hours a week. Okay, what else? Boom, boom, boom. We just started removing shit that's bloat. We're like, why are you doing that? Oh, because the sales team wants it. The sales team's not going to read every email. They just need like 5 or 10 a month so they can use for their proposals, right? To show people nice shit. So like, we started removing shit that they're doing, and then all of a sudden now they have 15 hours more a week that they said they were using on all these other things. Now there's no excuse for them not to hit the goal.
Well,
Actually, the goal increased. We're like, cool. Instead of 10, you're doing 12 now. We all agree?
But you can also counterbalance it too, because the KPIs are based on average order value and capacity, right? So they're not just numbers pulled out of thin air. They're based on what they currently have. So when you do your next performance review, you recheck capacity versus average order value of clients that you have, and you can see if there's a massive change, right? If the average order value extremely dropped, well, that's probably because they're doing too much free work because capacity hasn't changed, right?
Cool. Last question. Who's taking it?
Anatoly.
Take us home, baby.
Yeah, so I have a question for my sales team. According to, I noticed that they have struggled to upsell the course, actually not upsell, cross-sell the course if our package is too expensive for potential client. So basically, the idea what Eddie was mentioning me a while ago about the shrimps and the sharks, that we need to sell something cheaper to the shrimps, to the same traffic which we are actually running. And I noticed that my sales team has struggles to convert people who has not enough budget or not qualified for us, but has enough budget for the course
Yeah.
to upsell that course.
Yeah.
So how would you like downsell
Yeah.
that kind of offering?
Does your course have coaching?
Like we have options of the coaching or just the course which is going to be cheaper.
Okay. Something that we found this last year with our downsells on the e-com side especially is like everybody wants coaching, which is hard to fulfill if you don't have the team to do it. And so right now we have like, our setters have a list of like 10 people who are waiting to buy the course because they really want that coaching touch point. And so I would look to be included if you can, and I think you're gonna see more closes that way. I don't know what it is. Well, part of it is the accountability part of having a coach there, but people need that like hand-holding in programs. And so for us, that was the main thing we're changing right now is we already have a program that we made like a year ago, but there's no longer like weekly coaching calls with it. And as soon as we started talking about that, everybody's way more bought in. And we also get requests for it all the time. It's like, well, I need coaching, or what if I have questions and all those different things. So yeah, it's probably a big part of it, especially in the e-com space.
These guys who are like people who can't afford your services or shouldn't be qualified as clients, like I was saying earlier, they think like they need to delegate their entire marketing
Yeah.
to a company who's a professional. They're like, I need the guys who's running Apple shit to run my shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you need to help reframe in their head the importance that they as an owner understand the marketing side. I think like the biggest mistake we do is not helping them understand that like this is the business. You know what I mean? If you can't market your online store, you have nothing. You just
Yeah.
have inventory that's sitting in the back. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. And so like reframing it to help them understand like you're probably going to change agencies, you're probably going to have team members change, blah, blah, blah. But all of that is a risk to you as a business owner if you're growing and you don't understand how the marketing needs to run. I'm not going to sit here and tell you you grow the company to millions of dollars a year. That's not the case. But if you can just take it from $5 grand a month to 20 grand a month by yourself and understand how email should work and how ads should work and how your website should work and all these things that are easy to understand, then you can have a lot more control of your business. And so moving forward, as you do hire agencies, you don't get bullshitted. So you can spend $1,500 today, we can coach you for the next 12 weeks, and for the rest of your life, an agency who's sitting here charging you $5 grand a month to do their shit, you can call bullshit on them day one and save yourself that money and go be able to take more control of your business. You know what I mean? So you need to reframe how is it, like what is the importance of this? Because all these guys, for some reason in their head, think they can just spend $1,000 and get the fucking best of the best to run their marketing. And so like, instead of telling them we can't work with you or you can't afford it, you need to frame it as this is actually way more important than what you're talking about. So like remove whatever the fuck's in your head and this is how you need to start thinking about it.
Yeah.
You're not gonna close everyone, bro, but you're gonna close the right person who understands that.
Yeah.
And I think your team will have a better idea of like who actually is closing and then they'll find out if it's a product or offer problem. Because I think right now it's a framing problem. That's usually how it is on these down.
Yeah.
And if they're still not closing, then it's an offer problem.
Yeah.
I
And
would just start asking the people who don't buy, what would make you buy?
yeah.
Like you already lost the sale, so like what would make you buy?
Yeah.
And then have them answer those questions and compile this and figure out like what do these people actually want to buy?
And if you're with that exact frame, if your salespeople are saying like you shouldn't be working with an agency right now because you're gonna basically spend all of your money over the next 3 or 4 months and not see results, there's so much more trust on you because you've literally told them that, and they have. It's different from saying, like you said, like you can't afford it right now to you shouldn't work with an agency. So I would also position it that way if you can as well, and we're doing that right now, and it's working very well. Yeah. Cool.
Cool. Thank
Good,
you so
guys.
much, guys. Hopefully this was refreshing.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Good to see you. You look great, by the
Just
way.
a heads up, the buses are leaving from the back, not the front lobby. So walk down the hallway to the back.
So,
The buses are gonna be parked out back. This place is bomb, open bar, but don't get too shit-faced, please, so you can focus tomorrow.